Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is the show where I review all the comics I've read this week in one show. Now, of course, before we get started, we do have a Kickstarter going on right now for our comic book podcast, so hopefully you guys could go check that out. It's for an audio version of the podcast, and there's some wonderful tiers over there. And of course, in the comments below, leave your pick of the week, because at the end of the episode, I announced a viewer pick of the week. Now, getting into this week's set of comics, for the last month, I reviewed every issue one of the Future State books. This month, I decided, after obviously trying out all those, out of the ones I enjoyed the most are the ones I'm reading. So let's get into it. That is why I kind of have a normal haul, normal size haul this week. And number 11 for me was Future State The Flash issue 2. Now, you might be questioning, why did I read Future State The Flash? I didn't quite love issue 1 by any means, but honestly, even though I didn't like the plot, I kind of wanted to see where they're going to take it, just because obviously Wally in general is always a big character for the DC Universe, so I wanted to see if they were going to redeem the character at all, and they kind of do in this issue. It definitely does not make up for the repetitive storytelling and the misdirection of the character, but they connect his misdirection to the theme of his character, which is hope, which I guess was okay, but overall still did not really like this series. I don't recommend it. And I liked the artwork. I thought the artwork was pretty strong, but other than that, I don't really know what direction they're taking Wally for the future. And hopefully this is just a remnants of something that's in the past for Wally, because I do not want to see more Wally killing people. So I just didn't enjoy this one. So giving that one 2 stars, and that is number 11. Moving on to number 10, all these books I enjoyed, so I'm honestly a little surprised this is lower, but like I said, it wasn't like a 2.5 star book. It was a 3-star book, and that is Return of the Valkyries, the King in Black tie-in. I believe this is a 3-issue miniseries, and this one, I just feel like it was a little crowded. I love Valkyries. It legit is one of my favorite comics on stands right now, and I'm super excited for the next chapter of Valkyries. But like I said, it felt very crowded because we have multiple Valkyries. Before, it was just Jane Foster. We have a new Valkyrie that they're trying to introduce, trying to bring her story in, which I'm definitely interested in. And I kind of wish they just stuck with that and Jane. But then we also have Dani Moonstar, which, again, really cool to see the character. I don't know much about her because I've never really read New Mutants, but, obviously she's connected to the Valkyries, so that's cool. But all didn't really mesh well together. They didn't really interact that much together. And then, of course, you have the King in Black event going on, too, which makes the issue even heavier. So I just kind of wish it was a little bit more streamlined. Also, the artwork wasn't the strongest for this series. I do feel like, also kind of like the story, a little cluttered as well, even a little rushed. So overall, I thought this was an okay issue. I'm interested to see, obviously, where issue 3 takes us and how it connects to King in Black as a whole. But I'm more excited for the next volume of King in Black because of the stronger artwork that we're going to get and hopefully the more cohesive story. So giving that number 10. Now moving on to number 9, which is the Immortal Hulk issue 43. I do feel like the series has kind of slowed down a bit, which is disappointing. I would say especially when the Hulk family left and it was just the Immortal Hulk. But we do get to see a bit more with Joe Fixit, so that was cool. I thought that was the stronger part of the issue, kind of getting in his head. I really don't care about Alpha Flight, though, so once it turned back to there, and that was kind of the cliffhanger of the issue as well, that's kind of where I got disconnected. The artwork was pretty strong here. There's some of the creepy vibe that we all love from Immortal Hulk, but it was kind of a simmer of an issue. It just feels like it's going through the motions. It's not as exciting as it has been, and I hope it does pick up its pace a little bit. So the Immortal Hulk issue 43 gets 3 stars, and that is number 9, I believe? Yeah, that was number 9. Moving on to number 8. A book I normally don't read. I don't think I've read this book since issue 1. And this book is up to issue 43. So it's been issue 42. So that is Avengers issue 42. The reason I picked this up, because there is news that this series is going to connect to Heroes Reborn. I'm not particularly excited for Heroes Reborn, but I want to see how it's going to affect the Marvel Universe. I at least want to give it a shot. And I also heard there was a big moment in this issue, so of course, spoiler alert for this one. And it really doesn't happen until the last 2 pages. It is related to Thor. I'm curious if that's going to connect to the Thor series as a whole, because I feel like Thor in general, there's a lot going on with him. We got this series, we had him like almost die or did die in King in Black, and then we have his normal series where he's greater than a god, which he is. He's even more powerful than Galactus. So there's a lot going on with Thor, and I'm a little worried about that. I hope that it becomes a bit more cohesive. But with this one, we find out that Thor's mom is actually the Phoenix. So that means, what does that actually mean for Thor? I don't know. Are we going to see him have like Phoenix powers by the end? So this issue really is building up who is going to be the next Phoenix. It does look like it's going to be a woman. I don't know if it's a new character or not. Does it have to do with Thor's lineage? Is that why this was revealed? And obviously, from what I've been seeing, because I haven't been reading Avengers, but Odin's son has had a connection to Phoenix, that they were together. So, yeah, I'm curious if this is going to have to do more with affecting the Thor series and the Thor mythology / other characters. So I enjoyed this issue for what it was. I still feel like this whole event is very Avengers versus X-Men, it seems like, and even a little bit of X of Swords, where it's like, okay, we got a battle, here's another battle, and I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of just action for the sake of action, and that kind of feels like this issue is like, okay, we're gonna put up Jane as a Phoenix against Jen. And then we get that moment. But it was kind of fun for this issue. I haven't been reading a lot of it, so I enjoyed the pair-ups, and visually I enjoyed this issue. Story-wise, it was just okay until the end of that issue, because it's just everyone's a Phoenix. So it's just like, okay, that kind of dilutes this very powerful being. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I don't know if I'll read more Avengers, but I'm glad I read this issue to kind of get a gist of when we do get the Heroes Reborn stuff. So I gave that 3 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, the other Future State book I got, I think I have 2 more Future State books here, and that is Future State Next Batman, issue 3. This is, I think, the first issue 3 we've had of the Future State books, and overall it was okay. It was an okay issue. I liked the first and second story. I was kind of pleasantly surprised by the Signal / Outsider story. I like seeing Katana's sword be also Black Lightning. Visually, that was very interesting. And then the next Batman stuff is very slow, but I still like the story. I like that we get a little bit more with Tim's family, so we get a little bit about the Fox family, and seeing that they're probably on the other side of the law compared to him, and more teaming up with the Peacemakers and the Magistrate. So that was interesting. And, we do get to see that family whose daughter died, who wants revenge, and they're not playing nice with Batman. And that's the cliffhanger of the issue, is that, will next Batman die? He obviously won't, but how will he get out of that situation is definitely the question. The last story, which was the Arkham Knights, was definitely the one I was least interested in. But the reason this book's a little higher is that I feel like at least it's showing different spectrums of Gotham, and it all does somewhat feel connected. We get to see the villains in Arkham Knight, and then we get to see, this kind of side characters of like Signal and Katana / the Outsiders, and then we have next Batman in his kind of slower narrative to introduce him, but I'm enjoying his character, the little that we get to see of him. So overall, I'm giving this 3.5 stars. I also like this artist who does the odd numbers for the art style. I think it's a lot more detailed for the main story. So Future State, Next Batman, issue 3 gets 3.5 stars. Moving on to number 6, which is King in Black, Marauders, issue 1. There was a lot of King in Black tie-ins I specifically follow, and this is just a one-shot. So if you read Marauders, go for it. If you like Kitty, go for it. Is it necessary? No. It's a very one-shotty issue where we get to see our crew save these people that were being shipped as goods. So they're saved, and there is a very interesting plot that's going on where we get to see the mutants bring in these people to not Krakoa, but another island they have, even though they're human. And that's kind of the first time we've seen we've seen the mutants do that for human characters, and we really haven't seen that line cross at all. So I enjoyed that aspect, just to see a different side of the X-Men. But overall, it was a very one-shotty issue. It didn't really connect to King in Black that much, so it's probably skippable, but I enjoyed the story, and I thought the art was pretty good. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5. So this is another book I usually don't read, but I was recommended, and that is Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, issue 4. So I read the first issue of this book, kind of fell off for the other two, but this one I heard Poison Ivy and Harley were getting back together, so I was like, okay, let's see what's up. And honestly, it didn't disappoint. And honestly, I also wasn't very lost for this book either. So we get to see Harley going up against a Joker, which is always nice. She teams up with Poison Ivy, but she gets really hurt by the end of the issue. So it's the Birds of Prey and co trying to help her out, and no one wants to help Harley. She's kind of annoying. So by the end of the issue, though, she's good, and it was just fun character moments. And if you enjoy Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor's work, I think you'll really enjoy this. You get a lot from, obviously, their ongoing series from Harley. And then also Power Girl shows up in this, and it's just their humor, their flair. It's always a pleasure to see Amanda Connor do interior artwork, and that was great. It was fun. And yeah, I just like seeing Poison Ivy and Harley together and have that moment with each other, because we don't really get to see it very often, even though this is probably kind of out of continuity. It was still nice. I do think that some of the dialogue was a little ooey-gooey, like a little bit too much, but I felt like it could have been a little stronger, the dialogue with Poison Ivy and Harley. But overall, I mean, I just kind of melted. I still just love seeing them together, and I wish we could see more of them, honestly. So overall, I'm going to give that 3.5 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, one of the Future State titles I'm really, really enjoying, and that is Future State Wonder Woman, issue 2. So this is actually the last issue of Future State Wonder Woman, Yara Flor, but it has been announced that we don't have to wait that long. I mean, we have to wait a couple of months, but in May, we are getting an ongoing series with Yara, which we knew we were getting an ongoing series, we just didn't know what month, but it is May. And with this issue, I like that we get to learn a little bit about her past. There's definitely regrets that Yara has, and she goes on this kind of personal journey that is visually amazing because Joelle Jones does the artwork and the writing, so it definitely flows really well for this issue. And we learn a little bit about her regrets, and by the end, it does tie up loose ends a little too quickly. There's like one page where she's crying, and then the end she's like, okay, I guess, heroes are allowed to make mistakes. I hope we kind of dig into the mistakes that she made more in the ongoing series. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I thought it was very solid, and I just like Yara's personality a lot, and I'm excited to see where that takes us in the present. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is Firepower, issue 8, a book that I love. This is a bit of a point A to point B issue, though. It is the family saying, okay, we need to leave, and we got to kind of leave our respective jobs and stuff like that, and make sure everything's okay. Like, our main character has to make sure his parents are okay, and just go on this trip. And I like that, unlike other superhero books, they don't really keep this whole firepower thing a secret. He tells his boss, hey, I'm gonna be gone because, I got fire powers. And I like those small moments in the issue, and that's definitely what made it to my top 5. I liked seeing the wife interact with her partner from her job. So I like those small moments, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Again, a little bit of a slower issue because it is just moving the family outside of this kind of suburban area and going into this martial arts adventure. But there's some good martial arts. There's some really good character moments, and yeah, love the art. Really enjoy the smaller moments of this book. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, which I love this cover. It's a variant cover, and that is Gwenom vs. Carnage, issue 2. This issue, we get to see exactly what I wanted with issue 1. We get to see the kind of turmoil of Gwen and MJ's friendship. I will say some of the dialogue is very repetitive. It does say the same thing over and over again, but I enjoyed the stuff that was said. So we get to see MJ kind of be jealous, or at least upset, that Gwen's not being a good friend. She wasn't, and didn't really care about MJ's feelings, or didn't recognize MJ's feelings, and now that's out of head, and she has to literally attack MJ because she's Carnage, and it's all connected to Null, which I really liked how they connected it to to King in Black, now she's kind of noticing that she wasn't a good friend. And this kind of goes back to her origins, her trauma of letting down Peter, and now she's doing the same exact thing to MJ, and I liked it. I thought it was very solid, and I think MJ has the right to feel the way she feels, and I'm interested to see if this is going to make Gwen grow as a character and how she's going to look introspectively to herself, to realize if she was a good friend or not, if she's really who did it or not as well. Action was really good here too. I really just like how punk rock it all was, and it moved really well. So overall, I thought it was a very solid issue, and giving that one 4 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to number 1, guys. If you know me, you probably already know what number 1 was, and that is Runaways issue 33. I am so glad this book is back. I really have missed this book, and this issue doesn't let you down by any means. There's some really great character moments, I would say, from everybody. We get to see the teens go to school, and some are doing well and some aren't. So we get to see Gert, who wanted to go back to high school because she wants to make a life out of herself and do something that's maybe not fighting the patriarchy, and she doesn't really fit in, and she doesn't really know how to be a teenager, and Victor's trying to help, and that's not helping. So we get to see their turmoil. We see Gib, he's just living his life. He's just a football star and somehow is making it all work. And then on the flip side, for Molly, she's joining Krakoa, and we think, oh, they're kidnapping her, but it's actually Molly who wanted to do it. So that's really interesting, what made that happen. And then we have Chase, who's probably the only one who's happy. It seems like he has a girl, but I feel like that might be a red herring. I feel like something else is going on there. So we'll see what's going on with Chase, but he's very happy. And then we have Carolina and Nico, who are very unhappy right now. Not with each other, but Carolina is going through a lot, and you guys know I'm a huge Carolina fan. So just to see this arc is very interesting. Something that hasn't really it's been dug into, but I think definitely could dig into deeper, is that Carolina isn't human. She's an alien. She doesn't really know. She gets sick, how she can help herself. Like she has the 101 basics about herself and about her kind, but now she's been really hurt and she's not getting better. The sun hardly helps her, and I love the moments between her and Nico, where Nico's trying to do everything literally in her power to help Carolina, and it's not working. And I just really love those moments a lot, and how much emotion was in those moments, and just seeing how caring they are for each other, and yeah, love those moments a lot. And like I said, the reason I really enjoyed this issue is I really feel like every character had a moment to shine. It was really well evened out, and there's a crazy cliffhanger with Molly and the whole Krakoa stuff, and connecting it to the regular Marvel universe, where the Runaways usually are put to the side, which I never mind, but it's also nice to see them kind of play with what's going on in Marvel as well. And the artwork is so good for this book, from the jokes that lands so well, and again, I've missed so much, and then to, again, the more somber moments of Carolina and Nico, and even the more affectionate moments of Carolina and Nico. So really, really great issue. I have missed this book so much, and so glad it's my pick of the week. So that is, I'm giving that 4.5 stars, and that is number 1. Now, of course, let me know in the comments below, what was your pick of the week for this week? And for last week's viewer pick of the week, it was Daredevil, issue 26, a book I've just recently put on my pull list as well, and been really enjoying it. And here are some comments about that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Definitely follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Go check out my comics like Father Like Daughter and They Call Her a Dancer. And every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time is Comic Book Weekly. So be sure to check that out, and our Kickstarter for the podcast as well. Thanks, guys. Bye.